Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, October 26, 2016. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. 13 days to go until the U.S. presidential election, and last night on national television, current Vice President Joe Biden said that if this was a different era, he would take Donald Trump out behind the gym and thrash him. Trump replied that he could easily beat Vice President Biden in a fight. Both men are 70 years old. This election cannot end soon enough. Well, a continuing sign that Hurricane Matthew is not going to provide the kind of lift that reinsurers might have been hoping for reinsurance rates, one of the most respected underwriters in the business, John Doucette, the reinsurance CEO at Everest Re, has said that Hurricane Matthew would not be a game-changing loss for the sector. In an earnings call for Everest yesterday, Doucette said that Everest's net claims from the storm could range from $75 to $200 million in the fourth quarter. This is based on a modeled industry loss of $3 billion to $9 billion. Looking ahead to the 1/1 renewals, Doucette said that the reinsurance market seems to be trying to find the floor, as carriers had realized that returns might no longer cover their costs of capital if cat losses normalized. Yes, this is true. Everybody's been concerned about this. The president of Everest Re's U.S. insurance operations, Jonathan Zaffino, said that the first real U.S. hurricane landfall in 10 years could be a factor in, quote, the psychology of the conversations and psychology of the buys of some of the clients ahead of the January 1st renewals. A U.S. judge yesterday approved one of the biggest corporate settlements on record, Volkswagen's $14.7 billion deal arising from its diesel emissions cheating scandal. The German automaker said it would begin buying back the polluting cars next month. A U.S. district judge in San Francisco signed off on VW's settlement with federal and California regulators and the owners of 475,000 of the diesel vehicles. VW admitted in September of last year to installing secret software in its diesel cars to cheat exhaust emission tests. This was a pretty big deal. It was the largest civil settlement worldwide ever reached with an automaker accused of misconduct. It's big, but it's still smaller than the $246 billion settlement reached by cigarette makers with 46 U.S. states back in 1998, and it's also smaller than the $53 billion agreement reached by British Petroleum to address costs resulting from the 2010 Gulf of Mexico oil spill. We mentioned last week that the Russian naval task force, led by the carrier Admiral Kuznetsov, was being shadowed by the Royal Navy as it made its way through the English Channel. Apparently, that naval task force is headed to the eastern Mediterranean, to Syria, and is going to pass through the Straits of Gibraltar today. It was planning on refueling at the North African Spanish port of Ceuta. The Spanish government is now under intense pressure from NATO allies to not let the task force refuel there. The thinking is, of course, that would be aiding them as they move to the eastern Mediterranean to continue supporting Russian bombing of Syria. Willis Towers Watson has announced that its president and deputy CEO, Dominic Casserly, is going to leave the firm at the end of this year. Casserly was the CEO of Willis Group prior to the $18 billion deal, which saw both him and Towers Watson's then chief executive, John Haley, thrash out an agreement to win over reluctant shareholders. This had been speculated for a while because Haley's contract was extended and Casserly's was not. AIG has agreed to resume trading with Berkshire Hathaway 3 years after it cut ties with Warren Buffett's company following a high-profile staff raid. Back in September of 2013, AIG opted to freeze out Berkshire Hathaway after a group of 5 senior executives left AIG to go start up Berkshire Hathaway Specialty Insurance, including U.S. P&C chief Peter Eastwood and Lexington boss Dave Bresnahan. It's understood that Gen Re and Faraday, owned both by Berkshire Hathaway, were also dropped from AIG's security list. When ties were severed, sources estimated that the premiums already ceded by AIG to Berkshire Hathaway businesses approached about $100 million. Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev of Russia and other participants at a forum of Russia's innovation hub at Skolvoko were evacuated today after smoke engulfed the tech center. The alarm systems went off. The fire was quickly extinguished. The event was at the Sokoloko Innovation Center. It's located outside of Moscow. It's a high-tech center founded in 2009. Medvedev, who is known to have a sense of humor, said that we hope that the second event scheduled on the agenda for this meeting goes smoother than this event. The Dream World theme park in Australia, in the Australian state of Queensland, is going to reopen on Friday, just 3 days after the accident on a ride that killed 4 people. The Gulf Coast Park said it hoped that the reopening would begin the, quote, healing process and that all entry proceeds would go to the Australian Red Cross. 4 people died when their raft on the Thunder River Rapids ride collided with another raft and flipped over. The owners of the park said that Friday would be a Memorial Day. We hope that it will be considered the start of the healing process for all concerned. From Memorial Day onward, activities will be limited to smaller rides, animal attractions, and the water park. According to the owner of the park, Ardent Leisure Group, the ride in question had completed its annual safety inspection carried out by a specialist external engineering firm on the 29th of September. The park is located about 30 miles south of the Australian city of Brisbane. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.